record. Now let's go live.
Those new clowns are right there. They're like fighting their way in.
Yeah, they're
no one territory.
I got a lot of pictures of them actually. You don't have to camera shot.
They're beautiful pair of Red Sea.
We gotta figure something out. How to see those carpets in there.
I guess you could try a cage at some point.
Yeah, we gotta have it.
Right there.
We gotta have a game plan.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. Got it.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Hal. Welcome to our next live with Andrew Sandler on the Polo Reef in the Polo Reef Facebook group. We have 5 or 6 items that are updates that we can talk about. And if you have any questions that you want to pose to Andrew, feel free to put them in the live and we will be happy to address them if they make sense, if they fit, and if we have time. Okay, let me just refresh the page, make sure we're good to go. And we are live. Andrew, how are you, sir? That's the first thing, always most important.
Everything's okay. Hi, Hal. Hi, everybody.
Okay, let's get right into it. Let's talk about this nuclear powered space shuttle size sulfur reactor that you put up on the group the other day. Talk to me about that. What's going on? What is it? Why'd you do it?
So we actually have 2 of them running now of smaller size. They do a pretty good job, but just the ones we have now are not really big enough for the tank to get the nitrates down below 20. They clog all the time. Yeltsin swears at them half the time and wants to throw them against the wall. So we ordered this big, massive one from MRC, which is runs a little different. It's 2 chambers. The first chamber is full of sulfur, and the second chamber is full of aragonite to get rid of that sulfuric acid and rebuffer the pH of the water. I would say there's 5 or 10 times the amount of sulfur in this reactor than the other 2. It's a much bigger beast. We started running it about 2 weeks ago just to get some water through it, not really thinking anything was going to happen. Jonathan took a guess and ran about 2.5 gallons a minute through it. We didn't have an ORP probe to check the ORP of it, so we're improvising a little bit. And I don't know, one day, there was 3 days where all of a sudden the stability of the tank completely fell apart. All of a sudden, the tank was requiring about 3 or 4 times the amount of bionic alkalinity component. So we had to go up, from 1,000 mils to almost 3,000 or 4,000 mils. And we assume the majority of that is sulfur reactor. That's just the reaction that it makes. It sucks up alkalinity. The calcium was actually staying the same. So it took a few days before us to stabilize that and figure out the amounts that we needed to put in. In addition, it was pumping out nitrite, which is not a great end product. It's sort of a semi-toxic end product. And we know from our other reactors that when it pumps out nitrite, you want to back off the flow. And so we backed off from about 2 gallons an hour to 1 gallon an hour to about 1/2 gallon an hour, which is hardly anything. 1/2 gallon a minute, 1/2 gallon a minute. And all of a sudden, the nitrite stopped completely, 0 now. And it's actually, oh boy, my battery's low. It's in my bedroom. Yes, yeah. the as soon as that's basically no nitrite started to, we also tested the effluent out of the reactor, and we started to notice the nitrate was coming down in the reactor, which was pretty cool. So the tank's at 20 ppm. The reactor was running, the output was running at 4 or 5. So we know it's working, and it's going to take a few months before it really, seeds up and the bacteria is in there. Well, we put an ORP meter in there. It's now running about positive 40 ORP, but it's going down slowly. I think we'll reach negative ORP shortly, and then we'll build up the flow as it ages.
You could, what I thought was really interesting and what you just talked about was, considering we're working with 17,000 gallons of water, the flow is really, really minimal going through the reactor. It takes a long, long time, right?
To start it. Yeah,
Right.
I would think that by the time, in 6 months, if we spoke, we'll probably be at 3 or 4 gallons a minute again.
So that's 200 and something gallons an hour.
Yeah.
You're still looking at it. Yeah, well, okay. So it's still going to take, like, forget the math, like a week or whatever to totally make
turn
believe.
it over. Yeah. But you want to turn it over slow, because you don't want the nitrate cracking to zero. You want them at some number. It's just sort of
a balance.
Kill way. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Because I was like, wow, it's going to take months to get all the water through that. Okay, now explain to me now the calcium reactor, and how does that play in this, and what does it do that's different?
This whole time we have not hooked up our calcium reactor. We were waiting for the sulfur reactor and all the media, the aragonite media, plus the top of the calcium reactor. I don't know whether you know this, one time it blew up. So we got it fixed, and we got the aragonite media in there. And we didn't want to really jam it hard. So we're running it at a pH of about 7.3, 7.4. We'll work our way down to 7.0. And as that happens, I would imagine that we'll need less bionic part 1.
And why, coming from an amateur standpoint, why do you need to make all these changes over long periods of time? Is it a shock? Don't want to shock the coral and the fish situation?
Yeah. Because you're switching sources and shocking coral. Yeah, exactly.
And now you mentioned one other thing that I wasn't quite sure what it was about. It was lithium chloride.
Lithium chloride.
Lithium chloride.
Along with this media, I guess we use 2 little fishies. The what's it called, Jonathan? That stuff called? No, the media. No, the aragonite. Reborn media. The reborn media that we filled the sulfur reactor chamber up with and the calcium reactor chamber must have had some residual phosphate in the shells or something. So along with this whole process, we would test our phosphate at the end and be like, oh my God, it's going up too. And so we couldn't control alkalinity. Phosphate was going up. Felt like the world was falling apart, but we stabilized that also with about 3 lithium doses.
Eric in the messaging in the chat says, I got to stay with the sweet sauce for me. Yeah, you're 100% right, Eric. I definitely do not purport to be any type of expert when it comes to this. It's intriguing. I love it. I'm obsessed with it, but it would take me 1,000 years to get even remotely close.
We knew that between all the new coral that we put in the tank, and it probably doubled over the last month or so, and the sulfur reactor and the calcium reactor, that there were going to be changes that we were going to have to really be on top of. I mean, we're testing alkalinity and calcium. I said we're testing it 3 times a day, just to make sure that there's no swings now. And so this was sort of This was instability time. We knew it was coming and it came just undone.
But it's manageable though.
Manageable, just gotta get the right dose. It's a process.
What's in, I'm going to skip forward to something we were going to talk about at the end, but I think it's perfect to talk about now. And that is what's in the back room in the vats? What's on deck?
I haven't shown it in a while. There are, and I'm expecting more coral today. They're I expect a 315, 330 delivery, another tank breakdown. There are beautiful colonies of SPS. I would say there are all 4 vats will be filled with spectacular stuff. I can't wait to get it in, but you know, try to at least go to 4-6 weeks. I did sheet up one piece today.
You put one in?
I put one in because I don't know. She was in the tank today cleaning up, doing some cleaning and stuff off the floor. And, you know, like you want to get something new in there and like not just.
Brett wants to know if the Chody Rasses are going into the 17,000 gallon tank, the big Reef display.
I think we're gonna do a bunch of them in there. I may save some for 2,500. I only lost one, by the way, which is great. So we got 7.
That's sad that you lose one, but not bad ratio.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, I like that.
As opposed to 0 for 8 last time.
Shelly got a private message request saying she was asking private message to see if you could explain how you test and how often.
We're like old-fashioned way here.
You're not using that little $7 pH test kit.
Not that one. But we are using Sulfur and Elos on alkalinity, Sulfur on calcium, Hana and Sulfur on phosphate. And we're just doing the normal check. We're actually thinking about getting one of those Altronic meters. Or another company besides Altronic. Trident makes one where we can see the alk electronically.
I was going to ask you about that. There's got to be some level or some number of things that you monitor that are connected to the automated system.
So believe it or not, some of these test kits, the only way to really do it right is still with the old colors and stuff like that. And even the guys that do it automatically, they actually test for it in the machine using those reagents. So
what? Go ahead.
They display it digitally, but they still use reagents like it. I think one of the guys, Master or whatever, went out of business, but Master, yeah, but they had a disc, right? That was a disc.
The problem with the controllers is Yeltsin has 5 separate systems.
Yeah, that's the other problem. We have there's too many systems in there to really monitor everything. I'll probably get one master thing for the tank eventually. Once this thing slows down, we can figure out, you know, its natural process.
Shelly wants to know if you send off the ICP. Are they any closer to getting the home ICP testing equipment?
We've been sending it out, and the answer is no, we have not. It's still sitting in my garage, and I have not done anything about that yet.
So I touched on the automated monitoring stuff that sends you, crazy messages when you're out on the boat or on vacation. What are the kind of things that it's monitoring?
Oh, it monitors the generator, believe it or not.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it monitors temperature, ORP, it measures water levels in the sumps, water levels up top, flow, different pipes, engine flow.
So it's a lot of really important stuff.
Yeah.
Shelly said that that'd be good for individuals like her and others that have trouble seeing the colors on the test strips. Yeah. For sure. Okay.
Some of these things can be, That's why I like using two different types of tests to confirm. You have one little drop difference or whatever on one kit, makes a difference.
We talked last time about, and we've seen some pictures in the group and on your page about the clam tank. And rumor has it there's a pretty big update with the clam tank. What's going on with the clam tank?
I think we have about 3 or 4 clams in there now. They're doing great. And we're looking for new ones. You know, I'd like to get a whole bunch, but we quarantine them like coral, you know, also for 6 weeks. And so I just need the room.
And didn't you put some coral in the same tank? Weren't you just thinking about putting coral into the clam tank also? Or you're thinking about it?
Yeah, there's an anemone in there. Yeah, we'll mix it up. There's a rock flower in there.
How big is that tank again? I forget. 2,500?
The clam tank?
Yeah.
No, it's like 150 gallons.
Oh, it's like Hal size. Okay.
Shallow. It's like you look down into it.
Okay.
The 2,500 is the rock is curing in there. There was too much proportion of tabletop acro shelving relative to bulk branch rock. So we ordered some more branch rock. We're waiting for that to come in. And maybe I'll swap it with some acro heads, and then we'll be able to really escape this tank. In the meantime, the computer guy is alive and he's doing some work for us, and he's waiting for parts for the controller that we're building for that tank. So things are going now.
I don't know if I ever asked you. We might have. I apologize for those of you that have a photographic memory, realizing that we talked about something previously. How often are the fish in the large display fed? Are they fed once a day, twice a day, throughout the day?
Throughout the day, probably 3-4 times. 4 times.
Why?
I don't know. Yeltsin likes to feed him. Yeltsin wants to keep him real fat. Jonathan feeds him less.
I like that. Talk about you. Somebody besides Shelley said someone asked this week, and she might have missed your answer. But the clam tank is useful purpose or something you just wanted to try? Is it serving it a purpose, or you just want to?
It can filter out things and it can reduce nitrates and stuff. But at the end of the day, I wanted a place to put clams. A lot of them packed, like color, and they will never work in this tank.
Why?
The angels and butterflies would destroy it. So I connect a separate tank to this water and just display them themselves.
So they do have like a cleaning capability.
Yeah, they definitely absorb some things. Yes.
Very interesting.
Whether or not we have enough, whether it makes a difference or not in this tank, I don't know.
How many clams can you put in that tank?
What do you think? Oh, I think more, maybe depending on the size. I was going to say between 30 and 40 or 50, maybe depending on the size.
How big are they compared to the palm of your hand?
I would say the palm of your hand is probably the most common size.
So it's like chowder clam size.
Yeah, like that.
So do you buy them as little necks and they grow up to be chowder size, or?
They don't look like that.
No. But that's how I equate it. It's funny. I was my wife and I, we were on vacation last week. We went down to Florida, and I was like, oh, I don't want to put up a picture of this baked lobster I just ate and a dozen clams on the half shell, because I don't want to hurt Andrew's feelings. Do you eat seafood?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, all in Long Island, it's like a requirement.
Shellfish.
Yeah. What could you have a tank with lobsters in it, or crayfish?
Cold. You got to do like a cold water tank. It's like a restaurant.
Yeah. Have you thought about it?
No. But I have thought about other cold water types tanks other than lobsters.
Like what?
BDC Dragon from Australia.
Somebody has, we have a regular member in the group that is, and you need to explain it to me because I'm not sure about it. It looks like they're breeding seahorses.
Yeah, they breed them all the time.
Are they real seahorses?
Yeah, they have babies like guppies.
They're
All they, do,
adorable.
all they do is have sex and have babies and eat. That's all they do.
They're really cool.
Yeah, very.
Shelley likes the cold water idea. How would it, if you were gonna say do a cold water tank somewhere, is it a whole, besides the tank itself, and is it a whole new extravaganza, or is it just a matter of water temperature?
Whole new thing.
Nothing to do with what you've already got. Different
No,
filtration, different chemicals.
I have to run a whole new system at 64 degrees, 5 degrees. Find a place for it.
Put an extension.
Convince the wife to get, whatever.
You do a smaller one. Do like a 10,000 gallon for the colder water. And
Those leafy sea dragons. All you need is like a tall cylinder tank, like a couple of 100 gallons.
yeah, a
They
tall
stay
one.
in place, yeah.
So like 10,000 gallon would probably work.
10,000 might work. The dolphin go with it too.
I have one question about the swag that you teased us last week with some swag samples that you were playing with.
Yes, so we're making up. This is probably going to be the logo, and then I have the dog and the stuff in the back, and there'll be some shirts with the Abai Angel and the Peppermint Angel that says "Happy Friday, Happy Weekend" in the front, and different things on the back. We got some mugs, we got some hats, we got some sweatshirts, pullovers, and half zippies, full zippies, quarter zippies. This is all being done right now.
And
I'll be
what would you like to?
a couple of the charities over in Florida also.
Mhm.
I guess Monday the 18th, I'll be there visiting.
And the idea is, what would you like to do with this swag?
Well, I'd like to sell it for anybody on the Polo Reef site and get drop shipped, so I'm not involved in it. And proceeds, they take care of it, goes to charity. Yeah, this is one of the shirts. You see, it's
Very
happy.
nice. I like it.
And the back.
Yeah. You have to have one with like one of those cross-off symbols to it. It says "You're muted" or something
Right.
like that.
There's the back of one of them.
BB.
Yeah. There's another one. The Happy Friday, Happy Weekend.
Yeah, I like it.
Polo Reef here.
So what we'll do for that is when all that part of it's done, when it comes to the delivery and the payment part and all that, you and I'll get together and we'll set it up on the Polo Reef page where we can do it, and we'll promote it that way. And I'm gonna call you out on something here, and I want you to be able to take a couple of the t-shirts or maybe a couple of the hats and put them aside, because I want to have some fun on the page. And on
sure.
like we just passed, we're a little over 1,000 members in the group. Maybe when we hit 2,000, the 2,000th, maybe we'll send the 2,000th member a t-shirt.
Sure.
Congratulations, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Have some fun with it.
Yep.
All right. If you have, I'm good. My list is done. Is there anything else you want to tell us about what you did in the last couple of weeks, or what's coming up in the next week or so? And
I mean, it's a little bit of Rashid was in today cleaning up. Michelle has got another week or two to recover from the back operation, which probably starts taking us closer to when the coral will be ready anyway. We did a new scape for the 200-gallon cube that Rashid did. It's beautiful, beautiful scape. I think we're sort of like in just a sidestep mode here until gets time pass. We still have to decide what to do with the 3 black tangs that are still back there in my back.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll get some nerve and put them in. I'm still afraid of black tangs and ick. Just so afraid of that.
You've got justified
Although we
reason
have
to
not
be
seen any
cautious.
signs of it. It looks like it's gone.
You're being extremely cautious. You're not afraid.
Extremely cautious. Turns out that when they did the sleeves, new sleeves to the UV sterilizer, one of the sleeves drifted, it wasn't straight, and then they put these titanium screws in instead of plastic. So now the bulb had no give, and the bulb was drifting to the right inside the unit, and so they kept snapping sleeve, the quartz
Whoa.
sleeve. So we have 9 working now out of 10, and you know that makes me nervous. We actually had a computer to fire and make a sleeve with the right dimension and the right thread, but we're almost done with that.
Good. That was
one
the thing.
one bulb out, but we should have it ready soon. My ozone went on the fritz too. One of the ozone, yes, they're like 2 rods, that electric units. One of them is not working right, so the ORP of the tank can't get to 360, 370. It's been running 330, 320, which is fine. Waiting for parts on that.
But you don't want to lose another one.
No, see, one of the things we decided to do, this is sort of smart, is for the other tank, for the 2500, whether it be lights or ozone unit, or what we're doing is we're getting the same of everything. And then a spare.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just run the other lights and the other ozone unit at a much lighter output, because it's on 2500 instead of 17,000. But the economies of scale of having the ability to share parts, and if something goes bad, it's a big deal.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
So
remember the trepidation you went through in waiting for those lights to be delivered.
Right. So we're gonna do the same, everything the same.
I like that. Eric said do a Long Island sound tank.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Flounder, bluefish, and
Gross and green water.
and green water. Yeah. I grew up fishing on Long Island in Huntington Harbor, so I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Send Michelle all our regards, please.
Well.
And for those of you that don't know, Andrew has a podcast. We will put the link up when I post this video on the podcast, also on Instagram and YouTube. Inviting people to
I'm going away. I'm going away to Florida, Passover time for the holidays, Easter. I'm going away to Wisconsin next week to be a college student. I'm going away. I'm actually going to go to Reef Palooza. If anybody out there is going to be in Orlando, Reef Palooza, I'm going. I may even throw a party there.
So you need what, 10 or 15 volunteers to move into your house and take care of the tank while you're gone?
Any event, no, my point is by the time I'm back and gone, all the coral and everything should be ready, and like we'll start hitting the pavement when I'm back.
Mm-hmm. Good. Andrew, thank you for your time again. It's always a pleasure and an honor. For anybody that's listening or listening to the replay, please, inviting people to join the group is not really productive. It doesn't work. They don't see the invite. But if you copy the link address out of the URL, the address bar, and paste it in a message to them, we'll get like 90% more activity and people joining the group and following the page. So that's much more productive. Other than that, Andrew, always a pleasure, always an honor, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Stick around for 1 second while I end the live, and thank you everybody for listening.
Okay, great.